Funding for Off 90 is provided in part by the Minnesota Arts and Cultural Heritage Fund and the citizens of Minnesota.
Cruising your way on this episode of Off 90. We learn about how Minnesota got its distinctive shape. We meet a man from Austin whose job is telling stories. And we go to a concert that mixes a symphony orchestra with the experimental sound of an avant-garde country band. It's all just ahead, Off 90. Hi, I'm Barbara Keith. Thanks for joining me on this episode of Off 90. How would you describe the shape of Minnesota? How did Minnesota get its distinctive appearance? We talked to historian Dr. William Lass, who wrote a book on the subject called Shaping the North Star State, A History of Minnesota's Boundaries. He gave us some insights on how the state of Minnesota was formed.
Most state boundaries are a combination of natural and artificial. So if someone would walk from Iowa into Minnesota, they can't look down at the ground and say, I see 4330 on the ground. Some surveyor went out and determined this is where 4330 is. I'm Dr. William E. Lass, a historian and author. The last book I wrote is titled Shaping the North Star State, A History of Minnesota's Boundaries. There is a widespread urban myth in Minnesota that the northwest angle resulted from the surveyors there. Well, not only is this wrong, but it's a lazy way of looking at history. You look at it casually and say, I don't understand it, and therefore somebody made a mistake. Well, your obligation is to understand it. It's not to shrug it off. Minnesota's northern boundary resulted by treaties between the United States and Great Britain. That part of Minnesota that's on the Canadian side of Lake of the Woods is always called the Northwest Angle. So at the end of the Revolutionary War, the United States and Great Britain, by a Treaty of Paris, agreed to boundaries for the new country. They relied on a map that was almost 30 years old. There seemed to be a natural boundary on the north formed by the Great Lakes, and Lake of the Woods appeared on the map as a source of the Great Lakes. So you follow what was supposed to be the Great Lakes watershed as far as the northwest point of Lake of the Woods. The gap was not closed finally until 1818, when the United States and Great Britain agreed to use the 49th parallel from Lake of the Woods to the Continental Divide in the Rocky Mountains. So in that same treaty, they specified that we will agree to draw a due north-south line until it intersects the 49th parallel. If you go from the northwest point of Lake of the Woods to the 49th parallel, you do leave this odd little chimney on the Canadian side of Lake of the Woods. Iowa started seriously agitating for statehood in 1844. Generally speaking, what they wanted was a Mississippi River boundary as far north as possible. And so when Iowa held its first constitutional convention, there were proposals to run the boundary from the mouth of the Big Sioux northeastward to what is present-day Sauk Rapids, Minnesota. So in other words, under that proposal, anything to the east and south of that line, which would have included the Twin Cities, that all would have been part of Iowa. And what emerged in Iowa was the thinking the most important thing to Iowans was to have access to two great navigable rivers, the Mississippi on the east and the Missouri on the west. And the Congress of the United States countered and said, all right, if we accept the western boundary as the Missouri River, then you have to agree to put some sort of limitation on the north, which is where 4330 comes from. Wisconsin was admitted to statehood in 1848. At the time, it applied for statehood in December of 1846. The suggested boundaries were exactly where they're at today. The voters of Wisconsin had to vote on the Constitution, and they rejected the Constitution, not because of the boundary, but because the Constitution had such provisions as women could inherit property, which to conservatives was too liberal, so they rejected it. The Second Convention was dominated by Wisconsin expansionists. So in the Second Constitutional Convention of 1848, these expansionists said, look, among other things, we want the Falls of St. Anthony. So their proposal for a boundary was that Wisconsin's northwestern boundaries start at the mouth of the Rum River. This is present-day Anoka. And then shoot a line from Anoka to the St. Louis River. Minnesotans, to say the least, had a conniption fit. So, among other things, they organized a petition drive. The Congress of the United States said the best thing to do is to limit Wisconsin to the original proposal. Let's go back to what was proposed in 1846. So after thousands of words and much debate, you come full circle and you're back to the boundaries as they exist today. When the House of Representatives was considering Minnesota's boundaries, the House Committee on Territories made a change so that the boundary didn't follow the Big Sioux. It followed from the southern end of Big Stone to Iowa, in other words, where it is at today. The change in Congress was made in a committee. There is no written explanation of it. Lobbyists, of course, tend not to leave very visible tracks. This is why they're lobbyists. So these people recognize that Minnesota has a capital, Minnesota has a penitentiary, Minnesota has a university. So if you look to the west of Minnesota, you want to restrict Minnesota in some way. And if you restrict the boundary, then this opens up the potential for establishing a future important city, say at the falls of the Big Sioux River. Now, who today would care to argue that they were wrong? People historically are very deficient about explaining why they do things. They'll leave a record of what they do. They're not near as good about leaving records of why they do it. In a way, it would barely brush the surface. My book is documented. Serious students of history can go to the footnotes and they can go back to the original sources. They should do this routinely. I've done it myself, and I think it would be quite instructive for individuals to do that.
Michael Cotter has always been a storyteller. In the last few years, he's teamed up with his wife, Bev Jackson Cotter, to put those stories on paper. Together, they have co-authored 3 books. Their personal styles complement one another as they work carefully to get every last detail just right. Bev and Michael ensure that the stories of today are passed on to future generations.
Did you just do one load over the
No, we took 2 or 3 loads up there. Anyway, It was fun. It was really fun. Made a little excitement on our farm, and fortunately the cattle all came up to look at us. I didn't think they would, but
They wanted to see what was going on
what
too.
was going on too.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You know, that story is not in the Killdeer book,
it isn't.
The Rainmaker. No.
It isn't.
So it will be good to get that one on the computer.
Yeah. Yeah, that's one of my favorites. Oh, it feels good to sit here.
Yeah. There were just about 3 chickadees at the bird feeder here
right?
a minute ago. Yeah. When you live off the land, as I have my whole life, there is one word that strikes terror in your heart, and that word is drought. Because we live in an area of flat land and heavy land, this is not a common occurrence, but there are those times when it will not rain. You keep looking at the sky for some clouds and all you see is the sun. You see your crops start to wilt, and you know that in a short time they will gradually begin to die.
Okay, we go from there.
We go from there. Yeah.
I'm trying to figure out just how to start in after that.
When a story is shared like this, like Michael does, and a lot of storytellers do, there is an emotion, there's a feeling, there's a passion when that story is true, when it's really believed.
I have learned in 30 years of storytelling that if I tell a true story, not a made-up one, that actually happened, people will hear it from their own lives. There's something about a true story that touches people, and I found that to be just amazing. It's like a legend told of ancient China.
No, not too fast. Okay, it's like a legend told.
From ancient China. And this was before people were able to move food or people. And a village was...
Okay, just a minute. You said it's like a legend told from ancient China, and this was before people, and you used people a couple of times really close together.
Okay.
Can you backtrack again?
Yeah. It's like a legend told from ancient China where a village was experiencing drought.
Okay, just a minute.
I think in all of our lives, there comes periods of drought. And I want to tell you why I feel that way. I'm not just too sure where to go from here. Okay, I got the idea now. When I was about 30 years old and had taken over the running of the farm,
The voice of an author. I believe that the really powerful stories don't just come from your head. I think they come from your heart.
Ed worked for me for 15 years, and he became my mentor. Ed seemed to know just what that soil needed to leave it as good as it could be. He came in the late afternoon, and mud and stalks and snow were covering his tractor.
Okay.
His face was white behind the windshield when he drove in the yard, and I knew he wasn't well.
Okay.
But he had finished the job. As he parked his big tractor, I went over there because everything was slippery. When he stepped out on the deck of the tractor, he slipped and fell. But I was there to catch him.
Okay.
This is what he said to me. You need a better man than me now. I sure have appreciated the job.
I think people all need to know that their story is important. Each one of us is a completely different individual with different dreams and different desires, and we alone can tell that story to the next generation.
He died shortly after he left. So I asked the pastor and the family if I could say a few words. And in a small crowd, and his 3 children sitting in front, I told him the story of the Rainmaker and how Ed had been one for me. I remembered the story I told, how in all of our lives there comes periods of drought. But I believe rainmakers are sent, so watch for your rainmaker. They make barely a ripple when they come. And that's my story.
Old school meets new school in a concert at the Paramount Theater in Austin. The Galactic Cowboy Orchestra is an avant-garde country band that sprinkles progressive rock and jazz into their music. The Austin Symphony Orchestra is an orchestra that performs classical music. Recently, both groups met on stage, with the Austin Symphony's strings and brass filling out the sound of the 4-piece Galactic Cowboy Orchestra.
Space helmets and cowboy boots.
Yeah.
I like it.
I'm Lisi Wright from the Galactic Cowboy Orchestra.
And Steve Ramsey from the Austin Symphony Orchestra. I heard her band and thought the music was really interesting and lent itself well to being orchestrated with very interesting and wonderful chord progressions, and thought, why not? Let's try this. The standard for a conductor is send me a score and a recording. So I got this wonderful package of information, and it sat on my desk for 18 months, whatever. And then one day I said, ooh, let's listen, and away we went. It was absolutely amazing stuff. Music that has depth of quality, it has lends itself to being orchestrated, has interesting melody lines, room for added orchestral parts. It has what I call headroom. It has room within it that calls for orchestration. It needs to be bigger, grander. What an orchestra can bring.
Gypsy Grass Jump is one that Dan Neal, our guitar player, wrote for Prairie Home Companion originally, and then he brought it to the band, and we just moved a few things around to make it a little more galactic. Were you terrified writing those scores out? Like the raga? Mm-hmm. That seems like such a monster accomplishment to write that out.
Yeah. You gave it to me in 4/4. And the piece isn't in 4/4. And
we always used to joke it was in 1.
No, it could be. It could be in 1, but it's not. So I'm in 4/4. All the events, all the principal events happen off the beat. And as a conductor, I said, I can't conduct this in 4/4. If I do this in 4/4, the orchestra's going to be wrong the whole time. I'm going to be wrong. We're going to look silly. I'm going to put the beats, or the principal beats, the principal events on the beat. And in doing that, it becomes in multimeters. It's 5/8, it's 7/8, it's 3/4, it's 4/4. It's all mixed up in different things. And then it becomes a piece that everyone in the room can understand.
That's
yeah.
cool.
Was I scared? Yeah.
I grew up on a hog farm in Waltham, and so I spent a lot of time in Austin, and I was at Blooming Prairie High School. That's where I went to school. Took lessons from Sue Radloff, who's the concertmaster for Austin Symphony, which is awesome for me. My mom was all about music when I was growing up. She would sing, and she didn't play any instruments, but she sang all the time, and so we would sing in the car. And then she started playing Vivaldi a lot in the car, the Four Seasons, and I loved it. And I was like 4, you know. And she would say, "Do you want to play one of those instruments?" And I said, "Yeah." "Which one?" "That one." I call it jazz grass art rock. We pull from many, many different musical places or boxes, and we put them all together in a very open box. So, I mean, there are jazz progressions, kind of some jazz melodies in there. There are cowboy elements, bluegrassy elements, and then also rock and progressive rock, and world music too. I am a violinist and a fiddler, I guess, you know, because in GCO, Dan will come with some written lines. Like one of the pieces we're playing with the Austin Symphony is called Broken Marionette. It's gorgeous.
Well, I think everyone understands that if orchestras are going to survive in the 21st century, that the repertoire has to blend in and become more expanded. It needs to have a popular element. It needs to have a world element. It needs to, and at the same time, be faithful to its core repertoire and make sure that everyone understands that we love that music and it's always our foundation. And the end of Broken Marionette is so fun.
Oh, yeah.
First of all, it has this, I don't know how to describe this riff, other than it's a riff.
I always thought it was like very Stravinsky, that
you
last
like that?
part. Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
I like that.
We were like, how should we end it? You know, you always have to figure out how to end a piece of music. And I think we were like, hey, let's try a Rush ending.
Rush. Yeah. I've never even heard of this.
Because they do that on Bytor and the
Rush?
Snow Dog, right?
What's Rush? What's Rush? And then I look up and there's XYZ and there's like a...
YYZ.
YYZ? I don't know, something. And it was fun.
I love Rush.
It was fun to listen to this unusual music. It is to hear rock and roll that doesn't sound 4 beats to a measure.
Sure, yeah. I would just hope that they walk away feeling inspired and feeling like, wow, that was just really cool. I'm happy that I got to see it.
There's something powerful and immediate about performances of live orchestral and art rock music. You can't get it off a CD. I walk into a room where orchestra's playing, and the first moment almost always knocks me over. It's just, what a sound. What a world.
Yeah.
It's a great way to make a living, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It is.
That's all for this episode. Please help Off 90 meet its financial obligations by becoming a member of KSMQ Public Television. Give us a call at 507-481-2095 or 1-800-658-2539 or sign up online at ksmq.org. Thanks for watching. Join us next time, Off 90.
Funding for Off 90 is provided in part by the Minnesota Arts and Cultural Heritage Fund and the citizens of Minnesota.